Hey, you, happy Wednesday. Thanks so much for downloading today's episode. My name is Leanne. I blog over at Healthful Pursuit, and this is another mini-sode of the Keto Diet Podcast. If you're like, mini-soda, what is all this about? Well, I love recording the podcast so much. It's one of my favorite things that I do. I just love it. I love everything about it. And so when we were shuffling things around, figuring out what we wanted to do more of and what we wanted to do less of, the podcast was like, I want to do more podcasts. So here we are. We're doubling up on episodes, and mini-sodes are just little short breaks in your week to help you with keto things. It's more highlighting my personal experience with keto, what I'm struggling with, what I'm finding inspiring, and just like a one-on-one chat with you. And I know it's not really one-on-one, but I imagine it's one-on-one because really this world isn't as big as we think it is. So today we're going to be chatting all about comparison. Before we start chatting about comparison and how horrible it makes us feel on a daily basis, I've put together a little download. It's totally free. It includes a couple of extras and the transcript for today's episode. You can head on over to healthfulpursuit.com/podcast/X3 to get that download. Pretty excited about it, and I hope you are too. Okay, comparison. I have a little story that will bring all of this together. So last month, May 10th was my birthday, and my sister flew down to Nashville to come visit us, as that's where we had parked the RV and that's where we were. So it worked out really perfect. So she flew down there and we had a great time. And on the very last night, we decided to go to Broadway. And if you've never been to Nashville before, it's basically like this strip of party central of like lots of country music and cowboy boots, and it's very dirty and it's very loud. It's not really my scene at all. I'm so over that stuff. But when you're in Nashville, you have to do that. And so we were getting ready to go to Broadway. I had this really tight, horizontally striped dress that I really wanted to wear. I had bought it at a thrift shop a couple of months ago for like $5. I was so excited about wearing it. I put it on. It looked great. I had my little boots on and my jean jacket, and I felt great. And we got down there. I was feeling good. We were jiving to some music. The food was awesome. We were at Acme Feed and Seed. I highly recommend checking that place out. I was feeling so great, and I drank so much water that I needed to go to the bathroom. Didn't think much of it, went to the bathroom. And when I got to the washroom, there were all these beautiful women, like beautiful women, standing and doing their makeup. And they all kind of turned to me and looked at me normally. But in my brain, and I know this was a brain thing, I felt like they looked at me up and down and sideways and thought, how dare she wear that? She's too big. Why is she wearing horizontal stripes? Oh, P.S. Didn't anyone tell her stripes were so 1990s? And all these stories started playing in my head, to the point where I had a horrible time. I was so depressed and so sad. When I got back up with my sister, I just wasn't the same. I didn't enjoy myself. And we got home that night, and it was our last night of me seeing my sister, and I totally ruined it with my bad attitude. And it all started because I compared myself to these gorgeous women who in that moment I thought had everything and I had nothing, and I was such a failure. And I started thinking about comparison and how we allow it to just completely take over our lives. And I thought it would be great to share my story in a mini-sode and see if you have felt this way. And if you have, I'd love to chat with you over on Instagram about it. You can find me at Healthful Pursuit. I try to post daily, but sometimes it doesn't happen, about just what's going on in my life and what I'm thinking. So feel free to jump on there, maybe even tag the show today, and let's have a conversation about it and talk about comparison. Because really, when it boils down to it, if we continue to compare ourselves to others, we will never, ever, ever be happy. Because when we see others, we start to put together stories about their lives. Like if the woman has a really nice watch, we're thinking, oh my gosh, they have everything. They've never had to work hard for their money, or whatever the story may be. When in actuality, it was a hand-me-down from their grandma's grandma. Like you don't know the full story. And if we're constantly comparing ourselves to others, like I said, we're not going to be totally happy. And this doesn't only go for in-person interaction, but it's also online interaction. If we're always comparing ourselves to other people's highlight reels on social media, we're always going to think that we could be better and do better and that we're not enough. And so when I started thinking about this and how do we change the story, like how do we actually change this? One thought that came to mind is, What if we switched things around and started comparing ourselves to ourselves? So instead of me thinking, oh my gosh, that woman has everything. She's so beautiful. Look at her hair. Look at her outfit. She has it all together. What if instead I looked at myself and compared myself, what I'm wearing today to what I was wearing 5 weeks ago? I can tell you right now, 5 weeks ago, the Leanne 5 weeks ago didn't have the guts to wear a dress like that in person and totally crush it. That's 5 weeks. That's like unbelievable. But I didn't take a moment to compare myself to myself. I compared myself to somebody else who I don't even know. And so I think we could all benefit from, instead of looking outwards to find that comparison so that we can set markers for ourselves. And this goes for like healthy comparison, quote unquote, where we say, oh, like, that person, goes to the gym every day and they do these workouts. And if I just do that, I'll get the same body. No, that's not the way it works. So instead of comparing yourself to those other people and mirroring what they do, create your own existence and your own goals and compare yourself now to the self you were yesterday, the day before, 5 weeks ago, 5 years ago, and see how you are improving or adjusting based on that marker. So that was another mini-sode of the Keto Diet Podcast, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Keto Diet Podcast. Join us again next Sunday to discover more Keto for Women secrets for your fat-fueled life. The Keto Diet Podcast, including show notes and links, provides information in respect to healthy living, recipes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be confused as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Keto Diet podcasts reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without any representations or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified physician for medical advice, and always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.